Hello and welcome to our video on the extract terms node. So previously we took a look at the replace categories node, we took a look at the replace terms node. And these nodes were used to change the text. In replace terms we saw how we could use substrings or regular expressions to look for information in the text and then change it to something else. The extract terms node is very similar to the replace terms node, but instead of changing the text, we want to extract it into a new column or new set of columns. So as an example of that, let's return to our data and let's look again at the summary column. So here we have that driving 65 miles per hour again. And that speed is something that we're interested in. We would like to know for every record what the speed was. And so suppose we don't have an existing column for speed, or maybe we do and we'd like to check that column against what's in the text. To do that, we need to look at the text, identify the speed, pull it out as a new column, and then we can make that check or use that column later. And that's what we are going to be doing with the extract terms node. So to use this node, let's add it to our workflow, connect it, and then we will be using the summary column, interpreting the source again, and then we'll have an option to create a match column. What this is going to do is actually pull out whatever you're looking for. So previously with replace terms, we looked for some mention of speed. In this case, we want to actually extract that as a new column, and we'll call that column match. This is optional. I don't have to do this, but I'll leave it on so that we can see what's going to happen. So this is our interface. It's very similar to replace terms. So like before, we want to create a new rule. I'll name mine MPH. And then we need to define our rule. Now, unlike replace terms, which could use regular expressions or just substrings, extract terms will only let you use regular expressions. If you want to look for a substring inside the text and extract information from that, there are better techniques in PolyAnalyst to use, like entity extraction, for example, which we'll talk about later. So here we have to use regular expressions. So here I like to look for speed, and that's usually denoted with 2 digits, and then there may be a space, and then MPH. So that's the regular expression that I like to look for. So if I have, let's say, summary text, and I can look for one like here, driving 65 mph. That's the sort of rule that I like to use. I can go ahead and run this. So if I run it like this, you'll see it finds 65 mph. And what it's doing is it's creating a new column called match, and it's storing what is matched here, 65 mph, 55 mph, 70 mph, and so on. Those are the new column that I'll see in my data if I execute. This is not exactly what I wanted, because I wanted a numerical. I want the speed. And the MPH is useful informing me that the number is a speed, but when I actually extract that, I don't care for that MPH anymore. I just want the number. So to do that, we can use attributes, which are stored in this middle section. So I'll add an attribute. I'll call it extracted speed. And then I know it'll be a numerical. And then I need to give it an expression. Well, I need to mark this up. I need to figure out which part of this is just the speed, and that's just the digits. So I'll put these in parentheses. Doesn't affect the query in any way, but like with replace terms, I can reference that with $1, and there we go. So now I have a new column called extracted speed. It'll just be the digit part. So there we go. I run this now, and I have another column that has just what I'm looking for. So now that I'm satisfied with my match, I see that this is being extracted properly. I've got the only information that I really care about in a new column. I can go back to my select columns, and I can uncheck match. And now only this extracted speed column will be contained there. And if I care, perhaps, maybe about the units, so maybe I have a more complicated regular expression that looks for MPH, or it could look for other types of units. I can mark that in another set of parentheses. I can create a new attribute, and I'll call that, unit, which will be a string, and I'll call that 2. $2. So if I want that information, I can always add more attributes. Okay, I've got my rule. I've got my attributes. I've tested it. I'm ready to go. So now after running this, I can see I have a new set of columns. Extracted, speed, and the unit. So now I can use this extracted speed for my structured analysis. Or I can use it to verify the existing data that I have in the speed column. Make sure that whatever I'm getting from the text is matching what I get from where this structured column came from. So that's the extract terms node. Very similar to the replace terms. The only difference is that we have to use regular expressions, and that instead of adding a replacement, we're formatting things into a new column with these attributes. So replace categories, replace terms, extract terms, all very similar nodes that perform a lot of the same sort of techniques, but they have their own special cases for when they'll be used. Replace categories from replacing entire values for categorical or string data. Replace terms, only replacing a subset of a string, categorical, or text data. And extract terms is when we actually want to pull pieces of information out of data using regular expressions. So those were those 3 nodes. Stay tuned for more videos to come. See you then.